Okay, is it on? Okay. I'm not used to using the mic. This is different. So everybody can hear me now? Okay. So like I said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Animal Care Advisory Meeting. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the full agenda, and then when we get to the end, we'll have a public comment section, and then we'll have a section for the board members to make comments to close out the meeting, and council members as well. So to go over, we'll first have our roll call. Lisa Bond, she's here. Danny Hurick, he is not here. We have Officer Van Houten, he's here. Sam Parigi, absent. Stephen Brown, absent. Myself, here. And I believe that's it. Okay, so to get started, we'll do a recap of the last meeting. So at the last meeting, we did have 5 members present. We had Bond, Westfall, Parigi, Van Houten, myself. Which that also, we also had the New Humane Society member. They're not here. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, hadn't even got to meet you yet. Can you introduce yourself? So. Eddie Johnson, thank you. I'm glad to get to see you. I think he's taking over now as the director of the Humane Society. Okay, we're glad to have you on board. So at the last meeting, we did the review of the highlights of the July 5th monthly report. Then the board members voted in favor of submitting a horse ordinance for council approval. That was sent up the chain. It's going to be at a meeting discussed at the department heads meeting next week, and I believe they're trying to get it on a council meeting for February the 3rd. So that one's moving up. Also, we discussed a microchip ordinance. We had a PowerPoint presentation, and it was requested at that time that we go ahead and submit information about a microchipping ordinance. So I've got that with us today. We'll get to it in the regular agenda. So we can see if the wording on this is similar to what we think it needs to be, then we'll move it along. Also at the last meeting, we had a few visitors, and they requested that future meeting dates be posted on the city calendar for easy access. That is on the calendar now. If you go to the city's, you actually can go to our page on the city's website and access it there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get to the regular agenda. First thing is, well, got to talk, is the year in review over with the December monthly report. What I do here at this point is just kind of highlight some of the statistics that we've had through the year in 2025. So to kind of cover that, we had a total animal intake of 3,793. That's right at 4,000. That's about our average. Total animals euthanized or died in the pen was 297. We had a total live releases of 3,792, and the ending inventory of 62, and a year-to-date save rate was 92.35%, 91.88% for the month of December. Some other interesting notes is our spay and neuter voucher program. That program actually runs with our fiscal year, October through September. But for December, we had 28 spay and neuter vouchers, and year-to-date was 149. The cats released in our TNR program, 404 for the year. So that's 400 cats that did not have to be euthanized, and they were spayed and neutered and released back to the wild. Also, out in the field, our officers answered 9,668 calls for service. For the month was 837. And another interesting note is that we work with a lot of different rescue groups, and we had a total of 1,447 animals that were pulled by different rescue groups. There was, let's see, our largest puller this year looks like Safe Haven Dog Rescue, Paws, and Animal Rescue Kingdom, Humane Society of Southeast Texas. Those are just some of the few, and the largest one was the Animal Rescue Kingdom. They pulled 356. All right, so we had a eventful year through the year. A lot of things going on, and as everybody's always mentioning is the save rate or no kill rate. We like to call it low kill, but last year we were able to maintain the 90% or higher for every month of the year, which put us at over 90% for every month. Come on in. This is, if you don't know, this is Carlos. He's with the Animal Rescue Kingdom. Give him a hand. Carlos also won our Rescue Organization of the Year award this past year for his rescue group. Okay, moving on to the next item, the bond election result. As everyone knows, our Proposition B did not pass. This is where the animal shelter and police department were located. We had we thought a good run for it. It just didn't pan out. I'm hoping in the future, maybe in the next 3 years, if we're able to look at it again, that it gets put back on the agenda for that. And maybe this time it would be a standalone item. I think that there would be enough support that people would vote for that. So we'll see what that holds in the future. With that being said, though, we still need a shelter, and we're still going to be pushing for that, or updates, whatever we can do. But if you've been to our shelter, you can see that we're about updated out. We need a new shelter. Okay. Next thing is, we've had a lot of rumors going around and different things saying that we didn't have a vet, not getting things fixed. Our vet contract did expire. We were in the process working with purchasing to get a new contract in place. We had RFPs out. We actually had to extend that, and we've got it finalized now. We've got 3 RFPs came in, and I believe that's being submitted to council meeting on February the 3rd. And at that time, I think that's when approval for the contract would be. So at that time, we would have a new vet and 2 secondary vets, a primary vet and secondary vets. But in the meantime, Dallin Road, DRVC, is working with us on an extended contract week-by-week basis. So we are getting emergencies handled, spay and neuters as they're able to, that type thing. So it's not like we're just completely without a vet and not getting a vet. It just takes a process to get that handled. I'm sorry? I can't hear you.
Did you decide to get the primary vet and the 2 secondaries?
That was back in December, November.
No, she's asking when it goes to council.
Oh, it goes to council on February the 3rd. Okay, so the next item of business is the microchipping proposal. Board members, this is going to be in your packet. It's the smaller page that looks like this. So this is an example from Longview. What they have in theirs is all dogs and cats 4 months of age or older, kept, harbored, or maintained within city limits must be microchipped with the current owner information. A person commits an offense if the person owns, harbors, or maintains an animal that is not microchipped as required by this section. An offense under this section is punishable with a fine up to $500 in accordance to section 1-4 of this code. The municipal court may waive this fine for the person's first offense upon receipt of verifiable evidence providing the subject animal has been microchipped as required no more than 30 days from issuance of the citation. Showing that the person has scheduled an appointment to have the animal microchipped. Each day during which a violation of this section continues so constitute a separate offense. For the board members, what do y'all, is there anything you want to take out, add to, or other items to put as like subsections to that? Ms. Bond?
Can I ask, what financial obligation would this put to increase the already overburdened officer? Do you know how many hours or how many work hours this would take to maintain this new ordinance so that you could increase your budget accordingly?
It really wouldn't affect the officers. It's that if we have an animal that's picked up or comes in or we have an interaction with someone, on a normal daily basis, it's the same as a rabies vaccination. If it's just something they don't have, then it's a violation. It's not going to be extra work on the officers per se.
So if they have to punish them with a fine, who does that?
Well, the officer would issue the citation just like they would for a no vaccination charge. So the court would actually leave the fine or however that's worded, and they would decide the amount that it would be. It just could be up to a certain amount. Yes, every truck has microchip readers, and we have readers in the shelter as well. It is a law, a state law, that every animal is picked up for an animal control agency has to be scanned, because a lot of people do have their animals microchipped, and we have found that we're having more and more animals that are picked up that are microchipped, and it's a better way to keep animals out of the shelter, because our policy is if an animal's picked up the first time and it has a microchip, they can take it back to their house. And it keeps it out of the shelter and gets it back home quicker. Hello. Hey, how are you?
So what about when the owner that the microchip is registered to just says they don't want the dog anymore, basically refuses to take the dog? 'Cause I've seen that happen
We,
through animal care and rescue and stuff like that. Some people just don't want the dog anymore.
that happens whether they're microchipped or not.
Can they be held responsible in some type of way? I mean, you're talking about holding responsible for not microchipping the dog. So why couldn't we hold somebody responsible for having a dog microchip and then in turn voluntarily basically abandoning the dog and making it on my animal care's problem?
If they just,
Leaving it on the street?
if they decide to relinquish the animal, I mean, that's up to them. I mean, if the animal's loose, yes, they could be fined. But yeah, I mean, that's only given.
Take it and dump it in my neighborhood more than likely. They do all the time.
Where do you live? What?
Unfortunately, I live in between College Street and Washington Street,
Okay.
where there's lots of dogs running, lots of dogs don't. So many animals have just basically ran up into my backyard. Which is the reason why I've started doing all this to begin with.
Right.
It's just the overpopulation.
Well, like I say, the ultimate goal of microchipping is to get the animals back home and to keep them out of the shelter. It's another avenue for the officers actually to use to return them before they even make foot into the shelter. Board members, I know we're kind of lacking. Do y'all have any?
Is this something that a pet owner would have to schedule and bring their pets there, or would the officers out on the street be able to come to their home and just do the microchipping there?
Well, we do offer microchipping. People can bring them to the shelter. They can go to their veterinarian to do this. We had also talked about maybe having the officers offer that on their truck.
That would be a nice thing, because I know we have some elderly people, they have large animals, and,
I'm gonna bring Tia, otherwise we won't hear you on the recording.
I know we have, citizens who have large pets, and it may be hard for them to schedule that appointment, just to bring them just for a microchip, so if we could have an officer that's out on duty at their current responsibilities to offer that, they have to schedule it, but I think that'd be a good.
Right. They would have to not only schedule it, but take care of the fees associated with it. But it's just like having a state-required rabies vaccination. I mean, it's really their responsibility of how that gets done. But the microchipping is a little bit different. The rabies vaccination has to be given by a veterinarian. So the microchips our officers can give.
Even if there is a fee, even if there is a fee, if they know that what the fee is ahead of time,
Right,
that might be a nice service to offer people.
right.
For me, as an example, I have several of my pets microchipped, but not all 5 of them are. 3 of the 5 are. I'm a pet lover, but getting the last 2 together would be a challenge because they're both over 100 pounds. So that would be a challenge, and my wife's half my size, so it'd be extra hard for her to do that.
Okay.
And I just think about my situation,
Right.
and so then I think about everybody else's situation.
In a case like that too, if people bring animals to us, a lot of times it's easier for our staff to do it if the owner's not present, because the animal may act up a little different if the owner is there. Sometimes it's better if the owner is there, but Rachel, what is your experience in that as far as the microchip?
Since this is a passion project of mine that I started with, really, us being a municipal shelter, we're seeing more strays brought into our facility versus a private organization. They're being picked up in the streets. Now, we have seen an increase of owners bringing their pets in to get microchipped. Dogtoberfest, they even have a whole booth where they sponsor certain microchips and people can sign up to get their pet microchip for free, and that's super successful as well. So responsible pet owners are getting their pets microchipped. What we're coming across is individuals that may not want to be held responsible for their pets, which is why I did look into other cities that have ordinance such as this. I really like that, for example, San Antonio, they require that for a microchip, and it kind of touches on what you were saying, because we come across it a lot where a dog is microchipped and they state that it's been given away and they can't be held accountable. That city actually does hold them accountable. They're given 30 days to change that information. And if they don't change that information, that pet is still your property. And so that is something I would really love to see in this ordinance, as well as repeat offenders are required to get their pet fixed. Your pet is more than likely getting out because it's not fixed. It's looking for a boyfriend or a girlfriend, right? Which is we don't want. And so that being added to the microchip ordinance, I think would also be super beneficial. But I also want to touch with the microchipping as the officers doing it in the field. San Antonio did offer that they will come to your location, your organization, and train your officers for free how to do it in the field by themselves.
Diana?
So with us, we deal with a lot of the homeless, low income on the streets, and that in turn brings the phone numbers that a lot of them get changed, they get disconnected, they get new numbers all the time, government phones. without the screening process going on, you know, a lot of those people, because we come across them, that people that get animals, adopt them, and they give you the information, but then they don't have that email, they can't get into it. And then some of them even said, well, we didn't even know we had to go in and change something. So they're not even educated on the chip as far as going into the website, which a lot of them don't even have a computer. So that's always gonna be a problem with what we see on there, out there. So they need next to kin, but there again comes the screening that I feel we should have with applications and pets. But because I know homeless people who've adopted and they use their parents' address and then they have no phone number, and it's a domino effect, and they call us for care after that. So I don't know. Just a
I
thought.
think Chris behind you has,
So you're intaking sheltered pets, an application for the, I'm just trying to understand which application, yes.
I think she's talking about two separate things,
Oh, you're
actually.
talking about me? Oh.
You said an application.
Well, for adoption, and they get their pet chipped at adoption, right? Is that correct?
Right.
So the people who go in to get a pet, adopt them, sometimes they give a parent's, I mean, I know one lady who had adopted who was homeless, and she gave her dad's information, and she wound up not taking care of the pet. So I don't know what information she gave as far as a phone number, since it's not screened on an application to see if it's a right phone number, because they change, all the numbers change.
Do you have a problem with the application process, but not necessarily the microchip?
Well, the microchipping should be part of the application process as far as, because a lot of these people don't have the same phone numbers, first of all, to contact them, and then their addresses if they're homeless, or they're constantly moving from low-income buildings to
Right.
another.
But I think
So-
that's a separate topic than what this is related to. This is making it mandatory to have animals microchipped, where that's just a procedural thing with the adoption process that you're referring to.
Okay.
So we can get to the. Okay, Humane Society, you have any input on the microchipping?
Really, it's like Rachel was saying, a lot of the times it's not gonna hold them responsible to take their pet back. I mean, what do you do? There's no repercussions for the person. They get the fine, they microchip the animal, and then they're giving it away 3 times over. But it was never changed. I mean, if there's no repercussions, it's the problem's just gonna keep happening. So there's never any action taken to prevent it. That's a lot of the problem we're seeing.
Okay.
Like what she said, how San Antonio's going, which touched on what I said, that people shouldn't be allowed to just say, you microchip the dog, so that makes the dog your responsibility, that they shouldn't be able to say, oh, well, it's not my dog no more, and if they do, and if the new owners don't re-register the dog, then the original owner's still gonna be held responsible. It's kinda like if you sell a car you're not supposed to sell and you don't sell the title. The responsibility of whatever happens with that vehicle is still gonna fall back on the registered owner of the vehicle. So what you're saying and what I'm saying rings true, so unless that was something that was done also, then if there's no repercussions, it's gonna keep happening. Now, as far as what she was saying about homeless people, she's talking more about the screening process. People should be better screened to say whether or not, but you can't, at the end of the day, you can't punish somebody for not having a working phone. They're using somebody else's phone number. But a lot of times, homeless people that have animals, they got the animal's just as homeless as they were. And even at the end of the day, you're not gonna stop people that don't really have the money to necessarily take care of the dog like they're supposed to take care of the dog, decide, oh, well, I'm not gonna have this animal because I can't be financially responsible for it. at the end of the day, they're still gonna, a lot of people are still gonna take, are still gonna take that animal on. So it's even hard for the shelter. They can only screen so far, but even to say you can't punish somebody just because they don't have a working phone number or a permanent address. That's not their fault, you know?
This process that San Antonio is doing, how long have they been doing this and what have the results been?
Let her answer this.
I don't want to lie to you on how long. I took a class about 4 years ago where they were educating us about it. So I'm sure it's been longer than that, correct? I'd love to find that out for you and get that up-to-date information. But they found it so successful. That's why they were letting the officers doing it in the field. So it started off as just an appointment-based process, and they came across individuals who couldn't come in, like he was saying, they were unable, they didn't have a ride, they were elderly, and so they trained their officers, and they said it has been a significant decrease of animals having to be housed in the shelter waiting for an owner. There's a lot of people that maybe don't have Facebook or don't even think to check. We frequently answer phone calls from people who, it's very sad, they've been missing their pet for months, and they're like, I didn't even know to look at y'all's facility, so if they would have been microchipped, an officer would have contacted them right then and there, and hopefully that animal would have never been brought to us in the first place. It would have been reunited with an owner, and that'd be less animals in our care.
Mr. Parigi, did you have any input on the microchipping? Okay, unless there's any more feedback from the board, I think we'll tweak this a little bit, add a little bit to it before we actually move it forward. And then we'll go from there, unless y'all are satisfied with the way it's written now. Board members.
I would love to have a neutering requirement for repeat offenders. I think that would be helpful.
For repeat animals that get out?
For animals that are not neutered or spayed that get out and have to be returned via the microchip information, as well as the fine, that after a certain number of times the dog would need to be neutered or spayed in order to not keep getting fines.
Any input on that one?
So I actually like that. So if they're not a licensed breeder, the animal should be sterilized. So if they're microchipped and they can't provide proof that they're a licensed breeder, we're going to schedule you a spay and neuter appointment. You're going to be responsible for the subsequent fees, or you don't get your animal back. So I mean, or we seize the animal.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I just think of a microchip as a tool for someone who wants their animal back most of the time. I mean, granted, maybe there's some situations where I don't want my dog anymore, and so I'm not saying I'm against it, but I don't know what problem it solves other than getting a animal back quicker to someone who wants their dog sooner. So whenever you say, maybe they need to be neutered or sterilized, to me that, we're not growing the population of stray animals. That would, in my mind, solve a problem. The microchip, I mean, I like it, but I do question, what does it solve? I mean, the thought of punitive damages, I guess but then again, someone has dogs getting out over and over, are they even going to show up to pay a $500 fine? Likely not.
One issue that was brought up may have been like 10 years ago with prior management. They were asking if this is implemented and made mandatory to have your animal spayed or neutered, is the city going to have to subsidize for low income to cover this mandatory fee that's going to be implemented? Is that something that you would see possible, or?
Well, at some point, there's personal responsibility.
Right.
I mean, and if you are, I'm just gonna be, if you are low income and you can't afford to get it done, then if your animal never gets out, then that's not a problem, because you're not gonna get caught. But at some point, if there's a problem, and obviously there is, look around the room, there's a lot of people in here that feel there is a problem. You know, if that's something that a city, can a city legally say that you have to neuter your animal?
Yes, there's certain cities that do have a stipulation in their ordinances for that. And I think like she was referring to, if your animal gets out the first time, if it's not fixed, then it's, you can have them fix it before it goes out the second time. So it may be a deal where we do it.
Plenty of, I mean, look at all the charitable organizations that are operating in a rescue fashion. I'm sure that there could be some capacity where people, you know, through the kindness of their heart would help loving pet owners that can't afford to get their animal neutered, have that happen so they would not get out.
But
Right.
the city has spay and neuter vouchers for that reason as well.
There you go.
Right.
Right, and we could build on that, but it's important to recognize the tools we already have in place, and that's a great thing.
Correct.
Is that program still in effect?
Yes, it is. We had spay and neuters. That's what I was talking about in the December report.
Is it a universal voucher? You can go to any vet in Beaumont?
No, it has to go to our contracted vet.
Who's our contracted vet?
Right now, we're doing the weekly one with Dallin Road Vet, but that's what's coming before council on February the 3rd is the new proposal for a new contract.
So until that goes into effect, is Dalvin Rose just doing them when they can fit them in? It's not like the regular voucher?
Right, it's when they can fit them in.
I understood that we lost the contract with Dalvin Rose, so the spay and neuters are just being done as they can, not, I'm pretty loud. Scheduled as they were. That's correct? That
Right,
information's
right now, they're doing them as they can.
Okay.
As they're limited on what they can do.
Okay, got it.
But Matt, did you go out for bid?
Yeah,
All the vets?
yes, we did.
Didn't even bid on it?
They,
They did, but as a secondary, not our primary, but they did.
So they became the primary?
They put in a bid to become a secondary vet to do just like the spay and neuters, not emergency exams,
Or like I say, they're only doing our spay and neuters for adoptions. They've allotted us a certain amount that will be hopefully in effect in February. But right now, we're doing a weekly contract with them, and we're just having to make a point, like phone call individually each adoption or whatever, and they fit us in around their current appointments. But we did, I'm going to say unfortunately, I unfortunately only get 3 vets interested. Myself and Viviana, we hand wrote letters to vets across the area trying to get even more than 3. And unfortunately, I think they're limited on their staff, and so we did not get a lot of traction on that. So we were hoping for more so that it wouldn't be so limiting to maybe just 1 vet in Beaumont. But maybe in the future, hopefully more will become interested, or who knows, down the road, if we get a nice, shiny shelter, it'll have its own vet. So a person can dream.
yes, Chris.
Sorry. You're next.
Are you aware of many Texas cities that have a blanket spay or neuter ordinance? Like, unless you're a breeder, you have to have your pet spayed or neutered, just like you have to have them, rabies, et cetera. Are you aware of those? Because it seems like one of our main issues is we have more animals than demand.
I believe there's some I know there are some that deal with the spay and neuter. I don't know if it's just blanket straight across that require everyone to be done that way.
There are 7 states that require their animals to be spayed.
No, no.
I don't remember who they are, but it's been a while since I looked at it.
Let me ask you.
She's saying long
And they've been doing it because they've had a lot of strays and people getting bit and everything, so they were tired of all the strays, and so they've been working on that since February of '24, and it starts February 1st, '25. Started '25.
That pet ownership goes down in these cities, that they're mandatory. You know, and I get it, but the government can't, I don't believe the government should mandate, should try to stay out of my life. You know, I've raised dogs since I was little, and we would have friends that lived on the other side of the city that had a Doberman that looked like it was a bred one, and we wanted a different color, and so we would get together and, you know, barbecue and let the dogs run in the pen, and then, you know, we had babies later, and we raised them, and so you're gonna inhibit people's ability to do that. I think that, you know, I believe it's an overreach for the government to tell me what I have to do unless I'm harming others, but most people in here, we love pets, everybody we know love pets, and I think that,
But we're also respectful, we're not severe overpopulation crisis and
I
people
know.
are dumping animals.
I know.
We in rescue are seeing them suffer. They're emaciated, they're skeletons. They're being eaten by the crocodiles at the water, at the village.
It's
and
ridiculous.
Village
I
Creek.
know.
They're being dumped. People are moving and leaving them behind, and we're going and picking up the pieces and trying to find homes for them, and nobody's adopting our area because everybody that can have a dog has a dog practically, or multiple dogs, and it's just so sad because we're in this severe overpopulation crisis, which is what I was trying to ask. I was waiting my turn. Are we at the shelter doing or going to do anything to help combat this severe overpopulation crisis that we've been in for 3 to 4 years now?
We do it on
And
the,
it's just getting worse every day. I mean, like, public education, anything. I don't ever see anything about just overpopulation articles in regards to educating the community on the BAC page, Facebook, or the webpage.
we're all for that. We do that as much as we can.
And then the microchipping thing is a great idea, but are we gonna still try to do the spay and neuter?
Well, that's kind of what we're talking about now, is they're making a suggestion and maybe making that part of this. Right.
Which is why San Antonio kind of implemented it that way. Back to what you were saying, Mr. Hilliard, it was more of like repeat offenders. That's why they got fixed, right? They didn't want to overstep by telling people they had to get their pet fixed if they're responsible pet owners. That means your pet's not on the street reproducing willy-nilly, which is why it was proposed as such. As then, if your pet gets picked up the first time, okay, we're going to return it back to you. I mean, I'd be fine with if it gets picked up, it gets fixed or something. But it's the animals that are getting loose that are the problem. It's not necessarily.
Don't you, if you adopt now, don't you have to get it straight?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And from the shelter and rescue? But, I mean, we're addressing the spay or neuter. I'm just, like, my 3D was probably watching Oprah right now on the couch, so. I mean,
think she has
you
a
know,
question.
I think
Yeah,
we
I
should
think-
do it temporarily until we get the severe overpopulation crisis under control, where so many animals aren't suffering so bad, and then we can relax.
So the ones we take in, the ones we rescue, we should spay or neuter. Oh, yeah, I agree.
I think we should go and round them all up, all the strays, and it's gotten so bad to where I kind of think, you know, that we should start euthanizing. They're suffering out there. Some things are better than humane, worse than humane euthanasia. They are suffering out there everywhere, and there are certain areas that are dumping grounds, and that are worse than others that people just go and dump them and sleep in. These cities ever come down to go. Just in the month of December. So I still have one of them.
Mr. Hilliard, the spay and neuter part from an animal shelter, that is state law that they're be fixed when they're adopted. Now, different shelters have different policies. Some let animals go and they get them fixed at their own vet. We have them, a lot of times we try to have their appointments already set up. So they're fixed at some point. If they're too young when they leave, then they're fixed when they're able, and then we check back with that and follow up.
How long has this policy been in that we're doing now?
for a long time.
So, but has it changed the population any? Based on what we're doing?
Cats, yes, with our TNR program, but just general adoptions, no, it's not affecting what the general public does.
I'm talking about the population. The whole point of the spay or neuter is to bring the population.
From,
So I'm asking, how long, it's kind of like, I've been fishing in the same spot for 6 years and I know I'm gonna catch something. But my point is that if we've been doing this for 10 years and our population is growing, then maybe there's something else that we need to be doing. Because the spay or neuter is not working, because the population is, you would wanna see a decline downward, correct?
right.
After maybe 10 years?
So
You
what-
need to see numbers going down, not numbers.
Right.
We're spaying and neutering as we get the dog in, we spay or neuter it and adopt it out. We need to get the dogs before they create the strays that we have to pick up.
I think Carlos has something in the back.
First, I wanted to talk about the microchipping thing. I have been pulling dogs from this area for 20 years, and I don't live in Beaumont. I live in Houston, but is such a problem here, and I don't think the microchipping is accountability, and you have to start somewhere. And if there's no accountability for anybody, then they're just going to do what they want to do. Now, as far as spay and neuter, every dog that leaves the shelter is spayed and neutered. Every dog that I take from this area is spayed and neutered, and I've been doing it for 20 years. We adopt out anywhere from 1,500 to 1,800 dogs a year. 100 dogs a month are either going to Rhode Island or to Oregon, and it's not making a difference. Like you said, I don't want somebody to tell me to spay and neuter my dog. It's not the dogs that are leaving the shelter spayed and neutered. It's not the 1,800 that we're taking out of the state, 100 a month that are getting spayed and neutered. It's the people that have the dogs here that are continuing to let their dogs breed. That's the source. It's the community. They always say whenever I go to Oregon, Washington, Rhode Island, y'all have a dog problem. We don't have a dog problem. We have a people problem. It's the people, and they're not being held accountable. So you got to start somewhere. People think the microchipping is not a big deal. You got to get a microchip. You can hold the people accountable by getting the dogs microchip. That's the start. Everybody in the city, if you own a dog, it needs to be microchipped. That dog gets out, if it shows up at the shelter, the first time it's in at home, the next time they need a fine. If that dog gets out, that's not my dog anymore. If it's registered in your name, it needs to be your dog. Because if you gave it to somebody else, you can get online, pay $20, register it to the person. You can change it yourself to the person you gave the dog to. So if you don't take the time to do that, you pay the $500 fine. After you pay a couple of $500 fines, you may change the dog.
That's right.
If not, it winds up at the shelter. There has to be accountability. They don't have the same problem in Oregon. They don't have the same problem in Rhode Island. And we have a small group of people here, and we care. It's the community, and they have to be held accountable. If you can't do something to make them be held accountable, like I said, I've been doing it for 20 years. I'm shipping out 100 dogs a month from this area, spayed and neutered. I'm here today picking up dogs because there's dogs under people's houses in kennels, 2 Dachshunds, and the lady says I got to give them up because it's going to be cold. This should never happen, but it's happening.
Right.
And it's not a shelter problem. Everybody points finger at the shelter. What is the shelter doing? What is the shelter doing? They're just people just like we are. They have jobs just like we do. They're limited to what they can do. We have to come together as a community, all of us. We all want to accomplish the same thing. We can't do it tearing at each other. We have to come together and do it together.
Thank you, Carlos.
Cameron brought up a great thing, that breeders should be licensed.
Well, you're required to be licensed if you're a breeder. So, like, wanting that, like, that puppy, you know, you're getting together or whatever, that one puppy, how do you know that dog's only going to have that one? What are you going to do with the rest of the litter? And that's how we got in this place that we're in now, is that, yeah, you want that one puppy, but if you're not going to, you know, be licensed and be willing to take your dogs back if that owner decides not to keep it and take back on that responsibility. Someone's got to be responsible. So I feel like if you're not going to do the proper channels of being licensed and be that breeder, I'm not actually against breeders at all. I've bought dogs from breeders before. I am in rescue. Would I still do it? Yeah. It depends on what I want. But I know that the breeders that I'm buying from are licensed, will take their dog back, and that's not going to put back into the community and the problem on the shelters and the communities because of that. But I don't feel like anyone's being held reliable to actually be licensed breeder. Like, I do work at the shelter. We had a dog there that got reclaimed because it did have not 10 puppies or 11 puppies or 8 puppies or whatever. But we know those puppies are going to be sold. We can't do nothing about it. They're not going to be fixed. So that we know that's going to be more problems, more pit bulls running the streets because we can't take their property. But if we can stop the breeding, we can slow it down.
What about doing like some states do with having everybody that is a pet owner register, get them licensed, or there are things like that. I haven't researched that myself.
Some cities do have
and
pet
that way
license.
everybody's pet is registered or licensed. They have to pay a fee for that, and I don't know how that works.
But in that regards, that's, a lot of people would say that is overreach, and it would take a whole lot more manpower to enforce something like that. But yes, some places do have that. But
There's no licensing in the city of Beaumont?
not a pet license.
You're kidding.
No.
Okay, everybody does that, and it's income to the city. It helps with the shelter. It helps with funding and everything. There's a fee that's charged if your dog is fixed. It's like $25. If your dog's not fixed, it's $75. Y'all should really look into that. It's going to bring money to the city to help fund some of these things that you need.
Matt, real quickly, just for the benefit of everyone, can you walk through if my dog gets out and I call the shelter and y'all have the dog picked up, what do I have to do? Do I have to pay a fine? For me to get it back, does it have to be chipped? Does it have to be spayed or neutered? Does it have to be registered?
If the animal's picked up and it's
So
in the
yeah,
shelter.
my dog gets picked up by y'all and I call and y'all say, yeah, we've got it. Or it matches the description. Let's say it's not microchipped, but it is.
Right.
But let's say it's not. Can you walk through? Do I have to pay a fine? What does that look like?
They have to do a reclaim fee. Of course, they have to come down, first identify the dog, make sure it's theirs, and then they have to show proof of rabies vaccination. If it does have a rabies vaccination, then that's great. If it doesn't, we have to give it to it. They also have the alternative for a reduced fee to get the microchip with that rabies vaccination before it leaves. So, and it's just a across-the-board fee. Reclaim fee is, was it 50?
Without, so if you don't want your pet microchip and it needs its rabies,
If you don't want your pet microchipped and it needs its rabies, it's a $50 reclaim fee. But if you get your pet microchipped with the rabies, it'll be $25. If your pet's up to date on its rabies vaccine, we'll encourage them to get that pet microchipped for just $15. And while we have them in our building, we also promote our voucher program to get that pet fixed because that's probably why it got out.
Is that low or high compared to other cities our size?
It's very low. If you go to a vet clinic, a microchip can cost you anywhere between $50 to $60. I wouldn't be surprised with prices going up if that's going to go up too. So it already is a discounted service.
What about the reclaim fee? Is that in line with other cities our size? Or is that
It is in line. When we set up we did the last fee survey, we tried to get in the line with the other cities, a comparable size. If anything, it's going to be maybe just a little bit lower.
Offered as well a discounted spay neuter at that time, that more people would do it, because that's usually why, sometimes is the reason why people don't get their pets spayed or neutered, because it is expensive.
Sure. We do. We tell them about our free spay and neuter voucher program while they're there.
Program's only done once a year, so what if they come in when the voucher program's not available?
No. It's available year around, but it's one per household per year. So yes, ma'am. It's not like only a certain months. So we do, trust me. As a shelter staff member, we are promoting spay and neutering.
For those families that they've already used their voucher, we have a sliding scale price bracket for low-income families. You can get a dog spay or neuter starting at 75 on the low end. High-end income, the max amount we're going to charge is 155. For cats, the low end is 55, the high end is 100. Yes. Yes, so that's all. You can find that on our Facebook, our website, or you can give us a call and we'll schedule the appointment.
Low-income people are not, we're not gonna stop people that don't actually have the money to not take care of their animals, not get animals. But if they were aware of these programs that were available to where they could get these things at a discounted price, maybe they would become at least a little more responsible pet owners at that point, and not just taking on an animal and saying, oh, well, I don't have money, but
Any chance
I'm
those,
gonna do it anyway.
I'm sorry, the spay and neuter programs could be mobile? Where they could be, I mean, they do it on Rocky Mountain Vets. I'm just saying,
They do have, like the Deer Heart and stuff, they'll do pop-ups at like Tractor Supply
right,
places.
right, that's what I'm asking.
As far as us, as a nonprofit, we don't have the resources.
Yeah, I just meant,
But they do have those. If you'll
Yeah.
get on Facebook online and just type in mobile vet, and they will pop, those will pop up for their
might be
area.
a good option. I know, but our Core City shelter, we have dogs that are gonna freeze if we don't get them out from outside. We can't ask them to do a mobile spay and neuter. I mean, you guys are so overwhelmed, you know,
Right.
not for them at this point.
That brings up the question, if y'all getting all these fosters out, so we're gonna be out on the streets all day tomorrow. If we find strays, obviously being in a facility is better than them being on the streets, because you know we bring in a lot. Is someone gonna be at the shelter to work the shelter while this freeze takes place?
There's workers at the shelter, but not 24 hours.
Right, well, right,
Um,
obviously, but I mean, if all the animals are hoping to get out to fosters, it's not gonna, you're still gonna have the on-call officers picking up?
They're going out and they'll address the owners that have their animals chained up in the cold, that type thing.
But I mean strays.
Strays, it's just like a hurricane. At some point, we have to cut off picking up strays.
Okay, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Because we wouldn't be able to, we would work 50 people nonstop if you were gonna do that.
But if you're
but-
still having the shelter open, they're better off
The-
being there than on the streets.
We, we're getting them out
But
of
you're
the.
getting them out, so you do have room,
No.
at least they're,
No, we're getting them out of the outside, not the inside. We're-
but there's gonna be a lot of pets out there that we can't bring in either.
But it's not their fault.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a second on the freeze part. Let's go ahead and wrap this part up so we can get to the next agenda item. So what I'm gathering is we're looking at, we do want to do microchipping, but we also are looking at maybe implementing spay and neuter as part of that for repeat offenders. So we're going to look at that a little more in depth, and then we will present that again to the board at the next time we meet. And then we can hopefully vote on it from there to move forward to present to council.
February, like we're doing with the other stuff? Cause that's gonna be now another 3 more months before y'all meet here again to even say yay or nay. And then you gotta get it on council.
I don't think we're going to have time to get it on the February docket.
Okay, so now you're looking at half a year's gone and still nothing's changed.
We do what we can. We have to do research on this and put it together.
The can down the road.
So that's a different topic.
Going to the microchip real quick.
Yes.
I'm for it personally.
Okay.
For passing this, but I think it'd be good to also put like a time frame on the owner's information. Maybe say, it doesn't have to be this number, but maybe amend it to say that you have 10 days to update the name, the owner's information. So if, say, for whatever reason, 3 years down the road, you can't care for this animal anymore, whatever it may be.
Okay.
You give it to somebody else, and they are not responsible. That animal continuously gets out. You're not now getting this bill, and I know you can probably just go change it, if I understand that right. But at least we can say, hey, you have 10 days to change it. Like, this is the time frame. Like, yeah, you should change it, but hey, you have 10 days, and if
Right.
you haven't done it by 10 days, then you're still going to be held responsible. So at least we give owners / previous owners a time frame. So I am for the microchip being required. I think that's a good thing. I think it is a start
Right.
in fixing the problem. I know it's not going to fix the entire problem, but I think it is a good start. And I am also for second offenders. You know, if the animal keeps getting out, yes, they need to be spayed and neutered. And I just wanted to put that out there. That's just so
Okay.
you were aware of where I'm at.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Even if the microchipping doesn't have a mandatory requirement, the officers still have the tools to microchip if someone wanted their animal microchipped.
We could try to
what's the
look at
cost?
implementing that. That's a possibility. We'll have to look at it.
That would be more animals getting microchipped on a voluntary basis, at least.
Right. Okay, so we're going to add these two items to this and put it together, and then we will present it. Okay, moving to the next agenda item, which is another ordinance amendment recommendation. In our care and treatment section, which is section 4.02, we discovered that it is not up to date with the state's law on chaining. So in the board members, and I think the council members have this packet as well, we included the definitions and the legal requirement for unlawful restraint. So what we're going to recommend adding is the chain part and have heavy weights. So we're going to add into our local ordinance, you can't have a dog on a chain because that's the way the state has written it, and also the heavy weights. So our current ordinance, it has everything else but that. So the ties and tethers a dog or other animal to a stationary object for any period of time or in a location so as to create an unhealthy situation for the animal or potentially dangerous situation for a pedestrian. If an animal is tied or tethered, it must be on appropriate swivel attached to the chain or cable. And then A, under that one, is a restraint must be 5 times the length of the dog as measured from the tip of the dog's nose to the base of the dog's tail, or 10 feet. So we're looking at adding under that part, the part about the chains and heavy weights. Any board member reaction from that? Okay. Diana, you had a question? Sorry.
I know I've asked permission on some of the dogs that we care for that constantly break heavy, expensive cables. They shred, the wires break, they splinter, they cut them. And I know I've asked you to, is it okay if we keep this dog? And it's not a heavyweight. It's just it's a welded piece of chain. It's just not those cheap chains that break. And I think people, and I'm not saying everybody, but the word chain scares a lot of people with dogs because of, one, the noise, it's rattling, and they think it's always heavy. Some of these welded chains are not heavy, and some of these dogs have to be on a chain because they're constantly breaking the cables. But I know that I've called and asked your permission on certain dogs, so.
Right. There's certain cases that if the dog wasn't like that, it may get out and bite somebody. But unfortunately, this is the way the state part is written, and that's why we want to incorporate it into our local ordinance. Okay, so we will put that one together and put it with the microchipping's ordinance and present those at the same time. Okay, let me go to the next agenda item. Our animal care facility, if you watched or were attendance at the last council meeting, the animal shelter has been selected as a part of the Mural Fest coming up. I have a picture of it here. So the potential or proposed rendering, they have some at the front, but I'll pass this around so everyone can see it. This is the rendering of what the mural would look like on the animal shelter. I'll just let y'all pass that around. So we're excited about that, being able to participate in this festival. We've looked at it in the past. Last year we didn't get information in time to be included. This year we did. So we're excited to be part of that. Any comments or suggestions on the Mural Fest? Thank you. As that's going around then, we'll go to the next agenda item, and this was just an item of interest. A bat tested positive here in Beaumont back on December 29th. The victim did have to start the rabies post-exposure shots. That's not a everyday occurrence, but unfortunately this one was positive. I think the last 2 positive cases in our area were bats. It's been, I don't think I've had a cat or dog positive since I've been here. So that was just something of interest. So if anyone gets contact with a bat, be sure to let us know so we can check to make sure if anybody was exposed to it to determine if it needs to be tested or not. What part of town? Let me think. Do y'all remember where? 105 and Major. Have to see if we had a mugshot of him. But yes, that was not expected. We ship roughly, not too many. It just comes in sporadic spurts, I guess. We actually shipped a raccoon today that had bitten somebody's dog, and the raccoon was injured by the dog, and their dog, I don't think it was vaccinated, so we had to ship this raccoon. But we ship probably 25 to 50 animals a year that have to be tested, and this is, I mean, it's pretty rare for it to come back positive here. Now, it's not rare across the state because there's reports of bats and raccoons and skunks with rabies all the time. So it's just a little something of interest there. So the next thing I had come across, we were talking about donations. Ms. Todd and Chris and I, we were talking about ideas for businesses and donations. Well, actually, as soon as we did that, I came across something that BARC, which is the Bureau of Animal Regulation and Care, does in Houston. And what they do is they do a sponsorship program. I'm trying to see if I have my copy here. Bear with me 1 second. There it is. Thank you. Till I find it. There it is. Okay, thanks. Okay, so what BARC does in Houston is they have a sponsorship opportunity for businesses, and they use this if businesses become sponsors of the animal shelter, then they use that money to go to their programs. So such as our spay and neuter voucher program, the TNR program, or education programs. And the way they have it set up is a business could be a bronze, silver, or gold sponsor. And for a bronze sponsor, it's up to a $1,000 donation. Silver sponsor is up to a $5,000 donation. And gold is up to over $5,000. And then what they get in return on the lower end, the bronze, is social media mention, recognition in the BARC newsletter, behind the scenes BARC tour, sponsorship decal for their website, And then on the silver, they get all the bronze benefits plus logo placement on sponsored event banners, sponsorship decal for the storefront and business listing on their website. And then the gold sponsor is all of the bronze and silver benefits plus a multi-post social media campaign, recognition on the Barks Physical Year sponsorship banner, named sponsor of an event, rotating webpage spotlight, logo featured in their email signatures, custom news release highlighting the sponsorship, exclusive executive level shelter tour, opportunities for media engagement. And then on this page that I printed, it actually shows some of the sponsors that are currently their sponsors, such as Petco Love, St. Arnold, Wild Tunes, Pet Set, and Trust and Gus Injury Lawyers. And then on that website, they had a form that you fill out if you're interested in being a sponsor. So I didn't know if that was something that we could do here with our local municipality. Just going to try to get some feedback from the board or council members. Any? Ms. Bond?
I love the idea. I just don't want to see any more work put on our existing employees unless you're going to up your budget.
That's a good point.
I mean, you
Valid
guys
point.
are doing a great job. You take a ton of heat. You're pressured right now. If you get money from businesses and you don't keep up with this in an excellent way, you're going to get blowback. So I love all the ideas you guys always have, but if one of my children wanted to work for you, I would think, oh my God, now my kid's going to get more responsibilities, but pay's not going to go up. So I think unless our city is going to put money towards your budget, I don't know that I would say, oh yeah, let Rachel take care of that. Let Viviana take care of that. Oh, give that to that animal control officer to do.
Right.
This is a ton of work. And I guarantee you, if my husband's business donated $5,000 and it went to pot, what are we supposed to do? Smile?
That is a valid point.
So, and not to be negative though. I love, love, love all the hard work you guys do. I just want to see you get paid for it.
Ms. Todd?
Tell me about the Friends of Beaumont Animal Care. Who belongs to that? Could the Friends, whoever that group is, help with this?
That was started a few years ago by volunteers. The main person that runs it actually moved to Pennsylvania? Virginia. So she's kind of running it on the internet. But her goal is to try to highlight the animals that weren't going to make it out of the shelter, maybe on the code red list or urgent list. And they help in that fashion. But it's strictly volunteers. It's not a city page.
But that is something that we could pursue and get more membership to help with things like that. But who's going to take it on?
Yeah, who's going to do it, I don't know.
Also, in our conversation, we had the Zoom meeting the other day, I had the question about the money that has been raised for certain dogs. Why isn't that money going to the rescues? Where's that money going? It would be helpful for you to explain that if you would.
Right. When donations come to us, it goes to our donation account, and we pay for our transport. The rescues, if they're getting money for a certain dog to take this dog, it needs to go to them because we don't pay the rescue to do that.
Thank you.
And like we're talking about the donations, if they come in and it's designated for certain medical procedures that's being done, then of course it goes into the general donation account, but it's documented that it's going to go to that medical procedure. Because at our contracted vet, we have a donation account, so it's that procedure put into that invoice on that account. Okay. Well, any other input from board members on the sponsorship? I think she had a valid point, but
I'm not on y'all's board, but I just had an idea. You know, we have a lot of people that do love animals and things like that. So, like the police department, we have our Citizens Police Academy. What if y'all did a similar program to train people that love animals to take care of them and just whatever y'all normally do for work? And at the same time, once they graduate the program, they go to like an alumni section, and that's where you introduce them to a future program like the gold, bronze, and silver. That way they can start running it and it be ran by straight volunteers. You don't have to really come out of pocket. But that's just an idea.
I think that's a very good idea. But it also comes back to what she was referring to, staffing. Also, it comes to space. We need a new shelter to do our programs like that. Right now, we have nowhere to house that. Like, y'all have the big training room to host that type event. We have our break room where it's doubled up as our break room, computer room, officer workroom, everything. And we're out of space. But yes, that is a very good idea, and
It may also be another thing where you can team up with other departments within the city. Again, it's just a pilot type deal where you can
Right.
see if it works or not. But even if you were like, hey, police department, can we use your training classroom on Friday nights? I know y'all use it on Thursday or whatever day of the week. Hey, I know y'all have the range where y'all do K9 training and stuff like that. Do you think we can go out to the range and then you can book a date on the calendar? You know, but again, that would be something that you would have to speak with our chief and, you know, just get something where if that was something that could be worked out. And again, the primary focus would be to get it off of the budget for y'all, where it's
Right.
strictly ran by volunteers and you're not having to come out of pocket. Yeah, you have to worry about, hey, who's gonna be that person that wants to teach this class? And that would be something that you would have to talk to your staff about. But again, if you're trying to come up with solutions, you never know who might be willing to go that extra step.
That's correct. We need more staff. We have two employees that are doing the job of 4 people. We need to divide those positions up. It just hasn't been approved yet, and we work with that each budget year.
How do we get involved in that? Who do we put pressure on for that? The mayor?
Right, front row and back here.
It all comes down to money. We're not gonna get any better until we have money.
So the program that he's referring to would be excellent. That would be excellent for like our volunteer coordinator. But right now, our volunteer coordinator is also our rescue coordinator. She is up to her eyeballs in rescue work, so she's not able to focus fully on the volunteer work. So, but then it goes back to, okay, we'll give you a person, where do we put them?
Right.
Right now, we have four people sharing 2 desks in our main office. We're out of room. And you've seen it. But thank you, that was a good idea. We'll definitely keep that in mind. Okay, update on the upcoming freeze preparations. I know this was a question that just came up. A few days ago, we made our post to the public asking for people to foster freeze animals, Frosty Foster. And that's been a very good success. Viviana, do you happen to know how many so far maybe?
As of 11 this morning, there were 14 dogs that had gone into foster. I don't know how many more have left since we've been here, but we have had still more foster applications come in, and people are planning to come by on Friday and Saturday when they're off to pick up fosters.
That's great. As of yesterday morning, I believe we had 10 animals on the outside run. So 14 leaving that way. We had a few adoptions, I know, yesterday as well. That will make room to take care of that issue as long as we don't get 50 more that come in before before Saturday. Yesterday morning, yes.
This morning there was 7. 7.
It changes day to
Yeah.
day.
I believe we started with only 3 empty kennels on our outside run. I don't want to lie on the number because, we double up and sometimes triple up depending on puppies or something. But we started with only 3 open this week. And that was coming in Tuesday since we were closed on Monday. And like Viviana, our foster coordinator, said, we've had a really great outreach of people stepping forward. All I wanted to add was thank you to the EOC for reaching out and giving us some wire kennels. It's been really great. We've been able to provide those to fosters for the free so that, let's say that pet doesn't get along with their pets at home, they have somewhere to keep them safe and separate. And she did say if you needed some to be able to allow people, and I let the officers know as well, to be able to bring maybe that outdoor pet into their home, their garage. She does still have some extra wire crates available at the EOC.
I probably need to introduce Shaquina. This is Shaquina Nobles. She's our EOC coordinator, and we're glad to have her with us today.
I don't have to talk, do I? Hi, I'm Shaquina Nobles. I'm the emergency management coordinator there, and we've been doing a lot of winter weather preparations for every facet of the city that you can think of. So, y'all have questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have, but I don't really have anything else to add.
Thank you. Okay, we're to the public comment section. If anyone had comments, did y'all fill out the form and turn them in to the front? Okay.
I have a question about enclosing the outdoor runs. How soon do we think we're ever going to do that?
That is probably, we would rather have a new shelter than spend the money on enclosing the runs. Well, hopefully not. I don't know if the city's in a position at the moment to do it. I know we can't get a loan for a new shelter for 3 years because of the bond, but I didn't know if the city had that in general funds or not. For the shelter?
I was just asking, have we ever priced enclosing the outdoor?
No, we have not priced it.
Okay.
That is just something when we had a donation, and the city matched that donation to build the extra kennels outside. I just don't think that the facilities maintenance said that it would be something that they would want to.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about a lot of different ideas to try to make things better, and I think everything was kind of on hold with the prospect of the bond, but because you don't want to spend money and then turn right around and then do a new shelter. But if we're looking at a minimum of 3 years, we can reach out to facilities maintenance and see if we can get a quote.
Because not only are you going to be trying to enclose it, you're also going to be you have to ventilate it,
Correct.
and condition it,
Correct.
heat it, all that.
Correct.
We,
We recognize it's not your fault, and we appreciate all of the dedication and compassion that you put to your job every day, even in these really difficult situations.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else comments? Diana?
Animal care and treatment, I know it's freezing cold weather right now, but in the summer, I know we've talked about shade versus shelter. They have to have a shelter with 3 sides and bottom, top. And we've talked about implementing areas of shade for these dog houses too. I know that times the officers have gone out and said, well, the dog has a dog house, but it's 140 degrees. So these dog houses need to be under a tree, a barn, something under a shade, correct? That's on the Safe Outdoors Dog Act, 11822.
What we really need to look at is our local ordinance.
Okay.
And what it has in it is number 9, fails to provide adequate shelter.
Gotcha.
Dogs shall have protection from the elements, weather conditions suitable for the age, species, physical condition of the dog, so as to maintain the dog in a good state of health. Shelter shall consist of one of the following. A doghouse that is enclosed with at least 3 sides, a roof, a floor, which is not on the ground. B, a structure including but not limited to a garage, barn, or shed that is to protect the dog from exposure. This structure shall be secured in such a way as to offer the animal protection from the sun and rain.
Right.
So that could include tarp, anything like that to keep it out
Okay,
of
so
the
I know that every summer we go through that because there's been an officer they said, well, it had shelter, it had a doghouse. And that's when you and I talk, well, it doesn't have shade. So you're saying it must have shade with a doghouse, right?
It has to have some type of protection.
Gotcha.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you.
And you may have addressed this, the TNR program, will that come back once you have the contract in place with the new vets?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
perfect.
That
Okay.
definitely will. That's one of our biggest
It's awesome.
successful programs and we're very
Absolutely.
proud of, so yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
In the side.
I have a question about the rescues that y'all use. How do you determine what rescues take in the dogs? Because in my experience, I fostered for y'all before, and I didn't receive any assistance from the rescue. And my sister also fosters for y'all, and she had a rescue ghost her until her partner had to call them and yell at them, and they finally gave her a response. And also I've seen Facebook posts of some rescues that the dogs have gone there and then have been in worse conditions than when they left Beaumont Animal Care. So I just wanted to see, how do y'all determine what rescues you work with?
Well, that's a good question. Viviana, do you want to tell how we do with the rescue?
So usually for the rescues, they have to be 501c3. If a rescue reaches out to us, we're going to trust that they have all the resources to take care of that animal, whether that's to provide a veterinary care, if they have a foster or an adopter already lined up. And a lot of times we will check them out on Facebook or maybe their website, depending on what they have. But clearly, as we've seen sometimes, things you see on social media aren't always what they end up being in real life, and we don't have the resources to do home visits almost to all of these rescues, especially since not all of them are even in Southeast Texas. So I think sometimes we do see situations where things like that happen, but if something like that does come up, we don't work with that rescue anymore. It's not like we see that they're putting them in these awful positions and we're still just sending the animals regardless throughout the year.
Are they still there? Are they left there?
They're still there, suffering every day and every night.
Well, I think also part of it is the fact that we are animal control. As much as we try to reach out to the rescues and the fosters and these adopters, at the end of the day, we are still animal control. We get 5 to 25 animals in a day. So if that rescue took maybe 5 dogs, we may not have the space open to take those 5 dogs back immediately. A lot of animal controls in this area don't even take back adopted animals or anything like that.
But how many did Browns get? They got 30.
They're fighting over, they're dumping the food on the ground and letting them fight for their food. There's no shelter, their water's green, their water's black.
Mhm.
They don't
Right, and we did stop working with that rescue, but like you said, if I don't have the exact number, but if it was 30 animals, we don't have space to suddenly take in 30 animals back into the shelter.
Y'all knew that some of them weren't other dog friendly
Mhm.
or other cat friendly, and you knew that there was free roaming, that there was no kennels, and y'all still sent them over there.
Right, so when we speak to the rescue, we trust that when we tell them, hey, this dog can't be around other dogs, this dog can't be around small animals, that as a rescue, they will take the extra measures to make sure that dog is maybe kenneled separately or maybe not allowed around other cats or small animals.
What about everything I told Angelia to tell y'all that the owner told me?
I honestly, I don't know what you've told Angelia and what maybe she has or hasn't told us.
Because since we don't have a communication anymore
Mhm.
like that, I made sure that I told them because I know they work with you closely.
Right, and I don't know what you've told her or what she has or hasn't passed along to us.
On Facebook about exactly what I
Mhm.
found out.
Right, and that wasn't the best situation for the animals, so we don't work with them anymore.
Even a 501c3.
Right, and the rescue coordinator we had at the time, we entrusted her as the person in that position to make sure that they had all the appropriate paperwork filled out. And at the end of the day, we learned that she did not have all of that. And so, of course, that individual doesn't work with us anymore. It's no longer, I guess, her responsibility. And we stopped working with that rescue altogether when we learned that they did not have all the appropriate paperwork or maybe appropriate housing and they weren't doing things as they should have. But we didn't know all of that in the beginning once all of this started. But of course, we don't send animals there anymore.
And I posted enough times about it.
Okay, any other questions? Did you fill out one of our sheets in the front?
I will.
Okay.
Whenever there's like an animal abuse situation, what do y'all do? Do y'all like charge the owners, or if they relinquish their rights, like they no longer have the accountability to, you know, press charges against them?
Are you talking animal abuse in general?
Right. Like, do y'all do anything about that?
Yes, and animal abuse in general and animal cruelty is investigated. If it is something, and here's the thing with animal cruelty, there's lots of different avenues you can take or have to take to have outcomes. And a lot of time our desired outcome is to educate the person and get them back on track. They may not know they have to have a certain type of fitted collar. They may not know they have to have water.
Right, but I'm talking about like, okay, so we foster a lot
let me
more
go ahead. Let
animal
me
care.
finish and give you the example.
Oh, okay.
So if we are investigating animal cruelty, and it is determined that it's truly animal cruelty, and they don't comply, or if it's something like dog fighting, it's something immediate that we have to go in and seize. If they don't comply, then we get a seizure warrant, seize that animal, and then it goes to a hearing, a civil seizure hearing, to determine what happens with that animal. If the judge awards it to us, then it's taken away from them. And then at that point, we determine if there's enough evidence to pursue criminal charges. And in that case, it's presented to the district attorney's office for criminal charges. Does that help answer?
Sure, I'll get more information, but I'm sure we'll talk more about it later. Thank you.
How many times do you see necessary to go out to these places that have these cruelty and abuse before you finally seize them?
You talking about repeat visits to a
Yes.
place?
Yeah.
It depends on what's happening, what kind of case you're talking about. If it's just something where they're not feeding it enough or they're not giving it medical care, there's not a set number. We go one time and that's it. It's very involved. There's the animals, and also 2 of our officers are state certified animal cruelty investigators. They know what they're doing. Right. But as far as you asked if there's a number of times, there's really not.
There was a recent one where we had cruelty and neglect on one of our stops, and the officer came out 1 or 2 times, and I kept sending photos to that officer of the neglect, and I kept sending them to her. And it was never, the case was closed. the case was closed. So.
I would have to see that to give you an
I know, I
answer on
tried to
that.
get you.
But also, you have to also realize there's certain situations, people may see it and think that it's a violation, and from an enforcement standpoint, they're in compliance. It varies case to case.
Well, you just mentioned the 5 foot, 5 times the length of the
Okay.
dog law, so it
You
wasn't
didn't-
in compliance.
Okay.
Okay.
You didn't say what the situation was on that call, but I would have
And
to know the
no
exact
water,
one.
Nasty water, yeah. I mean, I don't call in stuff that, doesn't need attention.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you can give me the address and I'll look it up.
Okay, sure.
I will say the animal control officers, I worked a lot with them when I was on patrol. And I think a lot of them really, they are overworked, I'll say that. They work really hard, they work really well. No, not every case gets solved as fast as we would like. That's the same for the police world. And I can tell you that a lot of cases I've worked, they don't go as fast as I'd like. It's very frustrating. But the officers do a great job. They are issuing citations. I have made a lot of arrests, going to disturbances and running actors for warrants. And I can't tell you how many animal cruelty citation warrants I've served, and they are hefty fines. I mean, they are issuing citations. I've called them out many times. They have rescued that animal from the situation I just happened to observe on top of, hey, this person just got stabbed. Well, also there's 13 animals here and they're all malnourished, and they've rescued all, or at least taken custody of all those animals. And so I'm just saying they are working. I can tell you from what I've seen, citations are being issued. And on the other end of that, people are still getting arrested if they don't take care of those citations. So I just wanted to put that out there. I have worked well with the officers.
Thank
that
you.
y'all have.
That is the thing when they're issued citations, whether it's dog at large or whatever the charge is, if they don't take care of it in court, it does go out into warrant status, and that's what he's referring to. He runs their name and they have a warrant on them. Carlos?
I would like to mention the code red dogs. I understand, I've been in rescue for 20 years. I understand I don't work at a shelter, but I rescue from a lot of shelters. So as the general population, as you guys see these code red dogs come up at the shelter, these are the dogs that are in bad situations. So they leave the bad situations and they go to the shelter. And the answer at the shelter is death. So yeah, you were in a bad situation, now you die. Why? Because there's not enough people coming to the shelter to rescue you. There's not enough rescue people to come to the shelter to relieve the situation. So everybody wants it solved, but to just take them from where they are and take them to the shelter is instant death. And yeah, humanely, euthanasia is better than suffering, but at the same time, I live in Waller County. We have a lot of stray dogs. So I also work with my Waller County shelter. If the dogs are not in high traffic areas, and especially if they're larger dogs and there's not a lot of livestock around, we feed them where they are until we can move them. We call that shelter in place. Because the answer is, we take them from where they are, we take them to the shelter, and we kill them. We love animals. We don't want to kill them. We also don't want to put them in areas where they're going to be neglected and not cared for. But the answer is euthanasia. So I sit here and watch everybody. You got to take this dog in. You got to take this dog in. You got to take this dog in. Yeah, pick them up and take them to the shelter. And then whenever the shelter has code red, oh my God, you're going to put that dog down? Well, you want us to get him, bring it in here. We can't build a shelter the size of a shopping mall and just house these dogs. Where's the money? Everything is financial. There's not enough, just like with our rescue, we can only save so many. We can only transport so many. Spay and neuter is an issue. Just like you guys are looking for an account for your spay and neuter, I have juggled so many different vets I'm spaying and neuter 100 dogs a month. So I have to find somebody that can handle that capacity. Right. I'm traveling 2-3 hours sometimes just to get dogs fixed. So it's not easy. It's a challenge. So on the outside looking in, you got to understand these people are doing the very best that they can. They're not going to be able to save them all. As a community, do your part. Attacking the shelter is not helping people want to go to the shelter. It's not helping people want to foster at the shelter. It puts the shelter in a bad light. We need to come together. That's what's going to help the dogs. And if you love animals and you want to help them, come together.
Thank you, Carlos.
I would just like to acknowledge that the council is here today, and I have begged, I've mailed people on situations, questions, and so forth, and don't get a response. So I appreciate you showing up. I hope you continue to show up, and you help the community that is really wanting to help the animals. And not just spoof it off, oh, I went to the meeting, I made my part sad, but action. We need action and we need help.
Jeannie, you
Is
had.
there any chance I could get a copy of your stats of the intake and so forth? Because what you said was vastly different from what I got off the animal care page.
That post that was made, that was not up to date exactly when they did the final runs, because there were still animals that came in or left out after that was made.
Well, it says year in review 2025. So
Right.
That's why, but that's not correct.
That's not it. The numbers we read out today are the correct numbers.
Can I get a copy of that?
Sure.
Don't say that. Why was that put out if it's not correct?
Exactly. That's all I had to go by.
Okay, any other questions before we adjourn, or before I turn it over to the board for their comments? Board members? No? Council members, any comments? Mr. Crenshaw?
Great. Well, apparently they need it for the, hush, Uncle Sammy. All right, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Corey Crenshaw, and I'm the Ward 1 councilman. I made a post this morning that I kind of wanted to give you all some more context on. I get at least half a dozen to a dozen complaints a week through various avenues about issues with Beaumont Animal Control and the shelter. And so we have a great board. We have a great advisory committee. It's made up of 7 members. I am proposing that we have a workshop that's already on the agenda for February 3rd. That's this coming up Tuesday. Not this Tuesday, but next. And I would like to see us increase that board from 7 people to 15. And I would like, right now we have an animal welfare organization representative, which I'm assuming is Humane Society. I would also like to see a couple of possible positions be animal rescue organizations. One of the requirements you have to be to serve on the board is you're supposed to be a resident of Beaumont. But Carlos, I think if we could get a spot dedicated to an animal rescue organization, you would be awesome, because everything you've said today, I just want to high five you. Anyway, so I'd like to have a way to have people that are not residents of Beaumont to have some input on what we're doing, especially people that travel and see what other cities are doing and have that. But anyway, I think a larger expanded committee will provide more resources, more input, and find better solutions. And not trying to take away that the current board has not done a great job, but I just want to keep us moving forward and come up with ways to improve. I think that number one, we need to focus on what policies and procedures we can improve on with the animal shelter. And then we also need to look at what the city council can do so far as ordinances to improve spay and neuter, microchipping, what other cities are doing, what's working great for other cities, what's not working for other cities that maybe we're still doing that we need to change. But we need to look at changing procedures and policies for both the shelter and for what ordinances the council can pass. So I think that that's kind of what we can do the fastest. Number two, we need more resources. You know, and we keep talking about the money. I think at a minimum, you need 2 new staff members, whether that's animal control officers or whatever. And we've got to have to figure out a way with our budget to make that happen. We're not filthy rich, but we're not broke. And so I would think that there's got to be a way with our current budget of $160 million or whatever it is, that we can find a way to hire 2 more people at the animal shelter. Understood. But sometimes, you know, for say the new budget that will be coming up for next year, that'll be implemented for October, maybe we look at, you know, adding 1 full-time and 1 part-time, and then next budget, we can look at making the part-time full-time. So, you know, there's just different ways to do it, but the bottom line is that we think we need more resources for the animal shelter. Number 3 is more long-term goals. I do not believe there is any realistic chance, unless it comes from private donations, that we are going to get a new animal shelter funded by tax dollars in the next 3 years, okay? And even if we do get the tax dollars in 3 years on a new bond election, if it passes, it's still going to be a year or 2 before we're going to be able to get that done and implemented. So I think that we need to realistically look at a temporary solution for the animal shelter that's going to be at least 3 to 5 years. And whether that is someone donating maybe a warehouse where when we have extreme events, we could have at least a place that we could have kennels to put those resources, whatever that may be. You know, maybe we just need to come up with some type of a temporary solution. But we absolutely need a temporary solution, but we need to have some long-term goals that we can work towards. Number 2 on the money, when you go to PetSmart, it has the $5 you get to donate when you're buying your dog food to, you know, help spay and neuter. I would like to see if it's possible for us to have that option on our water bills. Because not everybody's going to be able to donate, but there's going to be a lot of people that say, oh yeah, $5 to go towards the city's spay and neuter program, I'll do that. And if they could add that to our water bill, and that money could be coming in, that's just additional resources and money, because it sounds like we need the vouchers for spay and neuter to be a lot more than once a year. It'd be great if it could be once a month. And again, when it's easy and you're already paying a bill and you just add $5 to it, you know, or $10, it's easy for a lot of people to do. Where if you tell them, oh, go to our website and click a link and make your donation and just click, you know, it gets kind of lost. But if they could just add it to their water bill, maybe that's something that we can do.
That's a great idea.
And so again, I'm very interested in sitting down, coming up with, I think, a larger committee that can help us come up with solutions to get more money, more resources, better policies, improved procedures, and I am very confident that we're going to be able to come up with a better plan and get some things done. I want you all to know, I talk about it to my fellow council members and the mayor all the time. We do hear your complaints. I want you to know it just doesn't go in one ear and out the other. We definitely want to come up with some solutions to improve things and get things better. And please join us February 3rd at that workshop. That'll be just the beginning. It may require, we're not going to figure out everything at that one workshop, but I do want you to know that we're going to start by expanding the committee. I think we've got the votes to get that done, and I really do think we're going to be able to do some better things to help our animal shelter moving forward. What's that? Oh, yes, sorry. So right now, I think it says 3 meetings a year. I'm hearing a rumor maybe there was only 1 last year. Again, I'm not here to complain, but I think until we see some significant improvements in a lot of the issues that we seem to have reoccurring, if we could try to move, maybe monthly is a little aggressive, but at least maybe every other month. And let's start doing these and getting together and talking more, because I really do feel like today was productive, and I think we can continue to be productive in these meetings. So maybe until things do improve, we just start meeting more often. And I know that's more time and resources for you guys, but we'll talk to Mr. Williams about it, and I think we can probably get y'all some more resources. Maybe someone else from staff can, assist with, something. So, all right.
Appreciate it. Thank you. More comments in the front?
No, I mean, Corey about covered it, but I mean, yeah, I am a pet lover, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a lot of experience in rescue or animal care facilities. So a lot of what I've learned has come from interactions with some of the people before this, and I just think that more frequent communication and the more we get together and talk, and I'm you know, I hear you. We hear you, and I'll be here and look forward to, you know, hopefully solving some problems.
I was waiting on this information to come back from Paul Blackburn with Energy, but you know, when you get your energy electric bill, it says, do you want to donate to people who can't afford to pay their electric bill? Just in the city limits of Beaumont, Energy collected $18,500 last year. So again, that you know, imagine what that could do for us on spaying and neutering. So again, that's just people giving $5 and $10 on their electric bills. If they're willing to do that on their electric bills to help people that they don't know, you've got a lot of people that, you know, will want to do that for animals. And so I think there's a real opportunity there for us to, we're going to find out, yes.
Everything Corey said, I agree 100%. I would like to see maybe a more Facebook ad-generated pet of the week, foster of the week. You know, do some more, use social media to reach a different audience instead of just share, but maybe, you know, spend $50 or $60. You know, maybe that's something that we can talk about at the workshop to begin to focus more animals on people's news feeds, Facebook, Instagram, whatever social that it goes across, and people actually being able to see this pet, you know, playing with kids or rolling on the ground and you guys saying something sweet about it. You know,
Right.
marketing. You know, I mean, we could fix the problem, but I'd love to see more. I don't ever see anything about pets.
Well, honestly, Viviana is our marketing coordinator.
Okay.
She does an excellent job.
My algorithm is not the same. But
But I think I do know what you're talking about. There are options where you can boost posts that
Yeah.
cost money. I think if that, I may be incorrect.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That'd be a great idea,
And
because, you
it's-
know, right now we're budgeted, we can't hit that. Yeah, we wanna boost it for an extra $50 or
Right.
60, whatever. So yeah, bring it on, we'd love to.
Yeah, and I would love to see us talk about that. Additionally, is build your brand, you know, and get out there. Even if you're only if we allocate $1,000 a month, I mean, you could reach, 10,000, 15,000 guaranteed, and you can see where your money's going. You can see who's seeing it. You can specialize the way that the ads are run, and you target, and you know, you start to bring people. Oh, hey, I forgot we had a shelter. I thought we only had the
Thank you.
Humane Society, and you begin to bring people in through marketing. And so,
Did you see the video she made last week that she interviewed different staff members and said, I would adopt this animal? That was one of our most successful videos. She showed me the hits on Instagram. There's like 12,000 things on Instagram, and Facebook was even more. But she does an excellent job on our marketing, and I think with the promoted ads, it could be doubled.
yeah, give her the tools
But-
she needs to do it even better.
But our Facebook, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's the second most followed page in the city.
That's wild.
Just behind the police department.
That's awesome.
Well, I want to thank y'all all for coming, and this is certainly, and I certainly get a lot of emails and phone calls, and they're generally from the same people, and I want to let y'all know, Matt, I've been on council now. This will be we just did my third budget. Matt's asked for additional people every year. So it hadn't been that Matt's not asked. It's been on your 7 council people and your city administration. And understand this too. This is important. We own 4 dogs. I love dogs. We take responsibility of our dogs. But when you start taking responsibility of all these dogs, it gets expensive in that cost. And there's real problems across the city with other things as well that we have to address. And so it does get to be a money issue. In terms of just 2 more people, I would certainly hope that this year we can do that. You know, the proposed budget got cut, and when things get cut, it gets cut. And however, council can control that, but we've got to be speaking to what we want to. And oftentimes, you know, you're hearing this, we're hearing other things too, that sometimes are about public health and public safety of people. And I hate to say this in this room because it can get me hurt. I'm going to show up for people before I show up for animals, and I love the animals. So I don't want you to think any of us are against this, and I certainly don't believe. I've met with Matt on more than one occasion. I've met with Matt with citizens, and oftentimes there's miscommunication, and it's not a perfect system. Because of the fact that rescue isn't the primary responsibility of Beaumont Animal Care. It is a responsibility that they've taken on, and it's an important responsibility. But we certainly have problems in this. But the fact that you're engaged, the fact that you're showing up, I mean, that's who wins every time in life, and certainly in city business. It's the people that show up. It's the people that get involved. I appreciate Councilman Crenshaw. I appreciate Mike and Joey. Councilman Hilliard, Councilman Williams, and the ideas. And I do think I don't have any problem supporting any of that. I think as a council, and if y'all stay engaged, I'll tell you where it happens is when y'all pull back a little bit, there's somebody else coming in. Don't think for a minute and a half that void gets left open. And I know it gets frustrating, but we want y'all to keep doing it. And the better organized y'all can be, the better collaboration. And, I know that's educated me a lot, because with the amount of dogs that you handle and the challenges, and you've got a 10,000-foot view that many don't have. And I think you being able to share that, and even on February 3rd, if you can come to the work session and maybe share that. I know it's just another drive down here, but it sounds like you drive a lot. But again, thank you all for coming, and it is great that it's a posted meeting and there's 4 of us here. So thank y'all.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're the man of the hour, or a couple hours.
Just with the budget thing, every city does licensing. How many people are in Beaumont? Okay, if you had 80,000 people and you only charge them $25 a dog, that's $2 million. If you have a dog, you're going to pay the $25. It's like $25 or $20 if the dog is fixed, but you have to provide proof that it's fixed. If the dog's not altered, it's more. It's $50. Just look into what the other cities are doing. That is going to generate the income that you guys need. That's going to be the extra push that you need. Everybody has licensing. You really need to look into what other people are doing as far as licensing and see if Beaumont can do the licensing part, so that will generate the extra income that you need to hire extra staff, to hire extra whatever that you need. I mean, it's going to really help you out.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Chris, did you have anything to close?
Just real briefly, I'm encouraged by the discussion today. A lot of times on social media, there's a lot of finger pointing, and I don't think you get much done here. But I appreciate Carlos, you coming and your input, several others in this room, because I don't think we're going to solve the issue, but I think we can definitely make it better working together.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Again, like they said, thank everybody for showing up. We really appreciate our council members and our mayor, assistant city manager. That means a lot to us that y'all took the time out of your day to come down. And I appreciate all of the public that came, because it shows that there is interest. We already know there's a need, but now this shows that there's interest from the public as well. So we appreciate that, and we'll see what happens in the future. Thank you.